consequences. I've done a couple of daily quotes on consequences, and I said I'd do a follow-up, looking at this a little bit more than I usually do within the minutes post when I do the daily quote. And I wanted to look at this from a national point of view when we're looking at consequences, and then at a local level, you and I, our level. Everything that is going to affect us happens on the macro scale, internationally, worldwide. And we've seen recently a terrorist attack happen in Germany. We've seen a terrorist attack happen in France. And since the last terrorist attack in the UK, our threat level has been raised to severe at the end of April. And we're in August now. And I've never known the threat level go up and then stay up this length of time, which is showing us that there's something happening in the UK posing a direct threat to our safety to keep that threat level at severe for this length of time. Now, we've also seen the IRGC and Iran directly, as they usually do, directly threaten the UK, and specifically RAF bases where the Americans are flying their planes from. Now, there's been a lot of chatter on, a lot of people talking about the IRGC and everything else. One thing we need to understand about the IRGC is in the UK, in London, they've been here for decades. Yeah, they're employed here under various job titles, and it's not these people who are going to carry out attacks. Now, the commentators and the chatter on, social media and everything else is about the IRGC bringing in their operatives in boats. Now, yes, that might be true, but it's not recent. It's not just a new phenomena, okay? And what we need to understand is the IRGC use criminal gangs. They're not just going to use their own operatives. They're not going to, an operative going from Iran to the UK on time to carry out a terrorist attack, okay? There's people here already that the IRGC use. Now, how do I know this? Is because I've worked against the IRGC before in London. I've protected women from Iran. I've protected women from Afghanistan. I've protected women from Iraq. I've protected women from Syria, all who've been targeted by the IRGC with either death threats, kidnap threats, or attack by acid. These are all prominent women, outspoken anti-Muslim women, former Muslim women. Now, we saw last year a IRG-sponsored assassination attempt in the UK by a Norwegian assassin employed by a Swedish crime gang sponsored by the IRGC. And that's how they work. Okay, they are not going to get directly involved. So it's not like fighting them out if we invaded Iran and then like we did in Iraq or Afghanistan, you're fighting against that country's military and secret services and everything else. They're not going to get directly involved. So yes, and when I'm looking at the consequences nationally, okay, we've got lots of people coming into the UK on these small boats, undocumented men, fighting age men. Now, the consequences nationally. Now, what I want people to understand is the government do not give a shit about you and I on a individual level. Yes, we've got all the platitudes after an attack. We've got all everybody changes the flags and, never again and all this sort of crap that goes on. But the government ultimately do not care about you and I. They care about the country being secure in itself, nationally, okay? Now, think back to World War II. 10,000 troops died day one on D-Day, on the beaches on D-Day. 10,000 to keep us safe and then push the Germans back, okay? Push the Nazis back. 10,000 in one day. That is a lot of people to die in one day to keep us safe, yeah? Now, we've got all these people coming in, and yes, the crime is starting, it's not just starting to creep up, it's going up and a lot of these attacks against women and children are by these undocumented people that's coming into the UK. Now, what's the consequences to the government who are not sorting this out at the moment? It's nothing. There are no consequences. nationally. Keir Starmer's lost his job. If the Labour Party don't sort this out by the next general election, they'll be out of office. That's about as good as it's going to get. Nobody's going to go to prison for this. Nobody's going to go to prison because certain people let in, they've committed crimes, people have died. There's no national consequences. The consequences are going to be borne by you and I at a local level where these attacks are happening. Now, that doesn't mean just from potential terrorists coming into the country, potential terrorists, over 40,000 already that's known to the security services. But again, as you've seen from police failings, security failings, nobody is held to account. And if they are, they lose the job. That's it. They're not losing their life. That's the consequence that we bear. And that's what people have to, all these people who moan about the governments, I do as well. I'm one of them. I moan, you moan and everything else. But you've got to realise that don't really give a shit about you and I. We have to give a shit about ourselves because we are the ones ultimately bearing the consequences. And that's why our own self-protection, our own, you'll have noticed every time there's going to be a terrorist attack, it's on the news, it comes from the government, everybody stay aware, everybody stay vigilant. That means absolutely nothing at all because the majority of the public wouldn't know how to be aware. They wouldn't know how to stay vigilant. What are they being vigilant for? What do they need to look out for? There's no specifics given with it because the government won't do that because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to accept any consequences. That's why people need to be trained to be able to take care of themselves because the consequences, if we're looking at the bad side of it, is we are no longer here anymore. Something happens in our vicinity and we're caught up in any sort of attack. It doesn't have to be a terrorist attack. It could be a criminal attack. It could be a mugging, a rape or a robbery or something like that. That's the consequences we are bearing. So please understand that. I'd like to hear your comments on this. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. My name's Rock. This is Viper Tactical Training. Stay dangerous.